Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. I hope you are doing really well today. So today I'm going to talk about one of my favourite topics, and that is minimalism. So a lot of you guys know that I identify as a minimalist, and I've done so many videos in the past talking about my journey. I even brought you along on the journey with me way back when I was decluttering my whole bedroom after coming back from travelling. It's been quite a journey, and you know, there have been ups and downs along the way. So today I thought I would share the pros and the cons of minimalism and living a minimalist life long term. So I think first I will go through the cons and then I'll go through the pros, because I think the cons a lot of the time come when you're going through the process of becoming more minimalist. And then once you've kind of hit that point of being happy with where you're at, the cons kind of fade away and it becomes more pro. So I think the first con that I stumbled across was resistance, and the resistance kind of comes from yourself, and I think for a lot of people it can actually come from family and friends too. A lot of the time people don't understand this massive change in mindset. A lot of us kind of keep in the same mindset through the majority of our lives, and so when someone just suddenly overnight decides that they're going to get rid of 50% of their belongings, it can be quite a shock to family and friends, and it can take quite a bit of adjustment, but it can also take a lot of adjustment for yourself. You know, when you're going through that thing yourself, you can kind of, one day you feel amazing and like you're going to conquer the world, and then the next day you kind of fall back into that old mindset and you start doubting why you got rid of this thing and why you're doing this in the first place. And so just staying true to your beliefs and actually doing the thing that feels right to you is really important, especially when you're starting minimizing. And one thing that I recommend to any of you guys who are trying to minimize but having doubts is to get a collection of things that you're wanting to minimize and then just keep them in one place. You know, like keep them in a cupboard, keep them up in your loft, just somewhere that you can't see them, so that in a week's time, a month's time, you can think about them. And if you do ever think about them again, you know, you won't have gotten rid of them. And it won't be a massive ordeal because you kind of removed them, but you didn't completely remove them, just while you're first getting used to decluttering and detaching yourself from material things. Like I said also, it can just feel a bit misunderstood, and so I think the most important thing is finding community. So for me, I found that community online, and I know lots of you guys who watch these videos also watch other YouTubers who are minimalists, and that's honestly the best thing you can do, because when you surround yourself with like-minded people, it becomes a lot easier to stay on track with your goals and, you know, see where you want to be and look up to people who are on the path that you're on to. It's really inspiring, and it can keep that flame sparked. It can keep that flame sparked for you. The next huge one is one that I come across quite often, putting my life out there on the internet, and that is perfectionism and judgment. So I can fall into perfectionism every now and then, but I do try and catch myself, and I never do things to the extreme. I'm going to do a video in the future talking about extreme minimalism and why I myself do not identify as one and probably never will. But I feel like because there are extreme people out there doing extremes of all kinds of lifestyles, not just minimalism, it means the people that aren't doing it as extreme don't seem like they're doing it at all. I don't know if that makes any sense, but you know, if you used to have 50 t-shirts and now you have 20, you've minimized your belongings. You are a minimalist if that's what you want to identify yourself as. However, someone with just 2 t-shirts is also a minimalist. But if all they've ever owned is 2 t-shirts, then are they a minimalist, or is that just the way that they live? Well, I don't know. But does it really matter in the end anyway? I don't think so. The weird thing about social media is that we're all easily compare ourselves and other people to ourselves also. And at the end of the day, as long as you're doing what makes you happy, that's all that's important. You know, you live your own life, do your own journey, and don't feel like other people's reflections of you is actually who you are. It's just them. It's just the way that they're seeing the world, and if you're doing the best you can, that's all that matters. This also ties into the next point, that it's not necessarily easy to fit into a box. Minimalism is huge, and it goes across so many different categories, and it looks different for every single person. We all live in completely different climates, completely different parts of the world, and have a completely different lifestyle, so it's never going to look the same. And I feel a lot of the time online that minimalism is portrayed as this beautiful aesthetic, you know, black and white, and it doesn't always look like that. And if your life as a minimalist does not look like that, then don't worry about it. I think we can all just kind of put our versions out there, and the reason that I started this channel was to try and inspire others to be more minimalist but not have to feel like they have to fit into this perfect box of what they believe or what society believes a minimalist is. And at the end of the day, if you're minimalising your belongings and it's bringing you happiness, that's the most important thing. The next point, which kind of rolls into them all, I feel like they're all obviously connected, is that you have to change your mindset, not just your aesthetics. So when you start becoming a minimalist, you obviously start removing things from your life, which completely changes your environment. You know, where you once maybe had pictures and decorations everywhere, you may now have removed them, and maybe you don't have any, maybe you only have a few. And with that comes a change in the aesthetics of your apartment or wherever you live. But it's not necessarily that the more you remove, the better life is. You have to change your mindset. You can keep removing things, and never actually change your mindset. And so all that's going to happen in a few months' time is that you're going to repurchase things, and then you're going to have to keep going through this vicious cycle. To me, minimalism is not just about how it looks on the outside, it's how it looks on the inside. So what do the insides of your drawers look like? You know, what does your laptop look like? How are your thoughts? How do you feel? Minimalism goes into so many more aspects than just the way that your apartment or house looks. And although it's nice and it's really wonderful to have such a clean environment, if you don't have a clean brain to go with that, then I honestly can't see the point. Okay, so now moving on to the pros, which is the best part of this video, because it's the part that I am passionate about. It's the part that I love sharing because it's something that's really, really drastically changed my life. I think the number one pro is that it helps you to find value. And not only in things, but just in life. You know, when you start to remove all of those things that no longer matter, you really make space for the things that do. And also it makes you really think about where you are spending money and whether those things have value, whether they are what you actually want to spend your money on. And I think when you come out of the consumerist cycle, you're less likely to impulse buy because it's become a change of mindset for you. And so you really are intentional with everything you buy, and in that becomes this intentionality with where you're spending your money. So it just automatically means that you are becoming a more conscious consumer, and I think that's only a good thing. The next point is that it's a change of mindset, and I think this change of mindset a lot of the time can be discipline. You know, you may have never disciplined yourself and never asked yourself to live a certain way or have your life look a certain way. So when you become more minimalist and you remove those things, you're much less likely to want to bring stuff back in because you know how hard it was to let go of them in the first place. And so discipline is huge when it comes to this, and I feel like it's something that has to be practiced over time, but it's a muscle or like a skill that you can strengthen for sure. And I feel like just having that discipline and then being proud of yourself for what you've accomplished is so important. But what's really important is not to fall into the trap of over-disciplining yourself and doing things because it's become a habit without thinking about it. So, you know, if you're just constantly trying to do better, or look a certain way because someone else on social media does, that's not a good thing anymore. So it's also really important to keep checking in with yourself and seeing whether what you're doing actually aligns with your goals, or whether you can just give yourself a pat on the back because you've done amazing, and you know, you don't have to keep going. You can just kind of flatline for a while and just enjoy living in the moment and being proud of how far you've come. The next one is a definite bonus, and it's that you save time and money. So you are buying less, which means you're spending less. And because you're spending less, you have got more time because you're not out thinking about buying things or, you know, actually physically out buying things. You just free up so much time, so much space, especially in your brain. You know, if you think about minimalism, you think about all of things. So it could even be down to Christmas and occasions and buying people gifts. You may just decide this year to buy them one gift, or maybe you're just going to buy them an experience. That in itself is so liberating because it means that you don't have to worry about it and you don't have to overthink it. And I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but my whole life I've been asked, what do you want for Christmas? What do you want for your birthday? And it can be quite stressful giving people lists of things that you didn't necessarily want right now, because, I mean, my birthday is in November and then it's Christmas in December. I had to go most of the year without actually getting, you know, big gifts like that, and then suddenly in 2 months I end up with loads of things, and it was just so bizarre to me and so backwards. And so trying to make a list for Christmas after I just had my birthday was just really hard, and obviously that means I'm a very fortunate person, which I'm very thankful for, but we also really do live in a consumerist world, and it's something that I'm just trying to highlight with that point, is that you don't just need things at certain times of the year, you need them all year round. And so if money would be a beneficial thing for your family to give you, then tell them that, try and explain it to them. And likewise, it's much easier for you if you can just give your family some money or an experience or just your time. It really does free up all of that brain space and allows it to be put to good use. As I just said also, the next point is that you put more emphasis on experiences. So this is something that naturally occurred for me, is that because I was spending less money on things, I had more money in general, which meant that I could afford to do the things that I wanted to do. And that when it was my birthday and when it was Christmas and things, it meant that I could put my money to things I really wanted to do. And so I've been traveling quite a lot in the last few years, and every time it was a birthday or Christmas, I just asked people to contribute to me because it made it really easy moving away. I didn't have a physical home, and so people couldn't buy me physical things, which was definitely a bonus. And it just meant that they knew where their money was going. Maybe I was going to go on a helicopter ride, maybe it was just flights, maybe it was just somewhere that I could stay. A lot of the time I get people to buy us weekends away, or maybe just a nice night somewhere, maybe a meal somewhere. Those things are really nice. And when you can send people pictures or just send them a nice letter or a nice message and just say, we had a really great time, thank you so much, I think that's a lot better than, a physical gift most of the time. And I really do think that importance and that stress on experience is so meaningful in this world, because I feel like it gets lost quite often too. And so just actually enjoying living in the moment and making those memories is much, much, much more special than a physical material thing that you're going to have in your life until you decide to inevitably get rid of it. So the last point that I'm going to share is the one that I'm most passionate about, and it's that it causes you to lead a more intentional life. So you guys know that I'm all about living intentionally and slowing down in this crazy world, and I feel like becoming more minimalist for me was the biggest change that I've ever made in my life, and it really just made me sink into myself and really question why I wanted to spend money, what I wanted to spend money on, and really go through the emotions and deal with the stuff that was coming up for me. And I think it really helped to give me a purpose, to give me drive, and to also allow me to focus on the things that mattered. So some of us go through life without ever really finding a purpose, and I feel like for me, just having a purpose for a small amount of time that was to liberate my surroundings, that was so nice, and it was such a nice wave to ride. And when I look back to when I was going through my decluttering journey, it's a really nice memories, because I just remember how freeing it felt. I'm not gonna lie, it was really hard to go through and go through everything, and there was some really sentimental things that I wanted to get rid of that were harder to do. But now that it's done, I look back and I think, oh, it's so nice to think about going home. Obviously I'm in New Zealand right now, for any of you who don't know, to go home to my house in England and just sit there and be like, oh my gosh, like I didn't need any of this stuff. I'm really excited to go home in a few months' time and just really look through the things that I left there and see whether I actually need them and whether they bring any purpose to my life. So I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that it kind of shone some light into my opinions about minimalism and the pros and cons that I've experienced. I'd be super interested to hear from you guys what you think some of the pros and cons are. Also, how far along are you on your minimalist journey? We're all on a completely different journey, and it looks different for each person, and we all have different baselines that we start at. So anyway, I would love to hear your opinion and your experience, because this community is wonderful and I always love chatting to you guys in the comments. So that's going to be it from me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please give me a big thumbs up if you did. It really helps to support my channel, and subscribe if you're new. I can't wait to share more videos with you in the future about minimalism, intentional living, just living a slow life that brings you so much happiness and joy. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll speak to you all very soon. Bye guys.